we'll go ahead and start it. I'll close the door. Today is the last one of our class. Everything will be done and I'll submit it as soon as, and basically I'm going to submit grades as they get finished. Same rules apply. Feel free to get a snack if you want to get a snack. If I haven't given you a restroom break and you need one, say something because I can always stop. This was the last class. Does anybody have any questions on anything we went over last class? I know that Beth and Janet both use their student choice thing in their classes already. You already used yours or haven't used it yet?
Before Christmas.
Oh, okay. You have it set up. You haven't used it.
I used mine a couple weeks ago.
I know that you use yours. Did anybody use their feedback and get good feedback that they felt like I'm going to do that from now on? I know a couple people did. I can't remember who did.
I did that for formative because I don't count my formatives for any points.
Oh, okay.
So it's still everything was nice and organized, but it didn't shoot it into the grade book, which I don't want it to. So
Gotcha.
I liked it.
Okay. This class, we're going to go over a couple different things. Some of these things I know that some of you are using. I know H5P activity, and by the way, it says HVP in Moodle, but it really is H5P. It stands for HTML version 5, I don't know, program, I guess.
What is that?
We're going to go and look at H5P activities today, which are interactive ones, ways to embed video in with questions and have it be a learning activity that they actually have to participate in. We're going to talk about quizzes for formative use and how we can use them for short cycle assessments as we're teaching. And I know that for you guys, a lot of you already do some of these things. And then how we use those for real-time feedback to help us guide instruction. And then the last thing is applying differentiation on quizzes through restrictions and making multiple different versions of the quizzes. And I think most of you already do this. And just so you know, the class wasn't made for people that, well, I did not say that, for you guys particularly, it was made in general. So even though some of you guys know how to do some of these things, I wasn't going to change everything based on what you guys necessarily did or did not know. In fact, this part in general, I was really had a number of teachers that I was hoping would be in the class because it was kind of almost targeted to people that are not modifying their assessments for kids, and I wanted them to learn how to do that. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is H5P, and this is an example H5P. My volume.
Basically like that puzzle.
Is that your voice? It's not my video. This is actually from Heidi's class, just to show what it's like.
She said she likes this better than.
It's basically the same idea as head puzzles. You can take any video from the internet or upload your own video and embed questions and change the behaviors and stuff as they go through. I'm not going to show the whole thing, obviously. I'll show you what H5P activity looks like. In this, stop there. And then when you're done, you submit your answers, and the students get a score, and it goes straight in the grade. Can get a score and go in the grade book. Doesn't have to be graded. But that was just to show you what it looks like. I'm going to pause it right here. Every single one of these dots right here are interactions of some part that Heidi has put in this. And I know Dan does H5Ps a lot. I am not as adept at H5P. In fact, I had to go through and relearn a bunch of this stuff for today because I don't use them all the time. I used to use them more, but now I embed questions in, or I mean the answer to the password to the quiz in the video, so they can't even go to the quiz unless they've watched the video and figured out what the question is, which keeps them from going and just screaming through it. But this activity is one that does a lot of really cool things. Number one, it automatically puts in the grade book. Number two, it doesn't cost any money. Number three, there's all the different kinds of questions available inside here that you basically see in any Moodle quiz. You can make it so they have to get 100%. You can make it so they can just answer the question and move on. You can make it so they're penalized if they don't get the question right. For instance, if they watch this whole section and they get here and get the question wrong, you can either let them answer the question again. I do not. I make them, the video automatically rewinds all the way back here and they have to watch that entire section again before they get to the question again. After that's happened to them a couple times, they generally pay attention because they realize, I'm going to keep getting sent back if I don't listen to it this time. So I like the rewind and rewatch the thing. Plus, they obviously weren't paying attention because there aren't that many options, you know. And you can have it do pop-ups of text. You can have it do links to other websites and other important parts in the video. You can have it, it's called a path, where you could go here and then it jumps over here and then it jumps back here based on the questions that they answer in the so H5P does all kinds of cool things. It's really an active activity because they can't just watch it. They have to pay attention because you're going to give them a question. They also can't fast forward, or they can't, move the slider bar if you set it up that way. Forward, I let them go back, but not forward. You can make it so they can't go forward or back. That they can only watch where you're telling them to watch if you want to take away all the control from them. And you can also give them a little button that only goes back 10 seconds. So if they just miss something, they can go like that and hear that thing again. And they could go back if they want to, but I don't know how many kids would sit there and peck on it long enough to go back. So some of the positive aspects of it, obviously it's active, checks for understanding along the way, it gives students immediate feedback. And if you have it set that they have to get 100%, then they're gonna, and if you don't give any credit for formative grades, it doesn't matter one way or another, but you could have different ways of having the question, the differentiation. You can add hints along the way. If they get it wrong, you can give them a hint to try it again. And because it pauses continually, they can't just keep going and ignore the one that you had, or the questions that you had on there. And obviously, it's self-paced. They do it at their learning level.
So here's my brain. Just watching that completely turns me off when it stops. Disrupted.
Well, and here I don't put Heidi puts a lot of questions in hers. You saw that was that many questions on a 2-minute video, by the way. It's a 2.5-minute video. My video is 15 minutes long, and I only have 4 questions in the whole thing. I want them to pay attention, but I also don't like being interrupted too much. You have to make it pause.
So in my classroom, if I have a 5-6 minute video,
yep,
I will let it play and I will force myself to shut up. I will sit in the chair and say, do not talk during this video.
And
then I watch it a second time and I stop it everywhere I want to talk. So can I have it play twice and the first time it's uninterrupted?
Yes. Well, not in the same activity. I don't think. Can you drop 2 videos?
But you can have you
okay.
can still have 2 different activities, so watch it.
Yeah, and the second one has the questions.
Just the second,
yeah.
Stop them.
Video have it play through once.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
The other thing is you don't have to have all the questions in the middle.
Okay.
You can have it go 5 minutes through, and in the last 10 seconds, have it ask a question. If they get it wrong, rewind.
Okay.
If they get it right, they move to the next question. You could literally have 5 questions embedded right there in a row, and if you get them all right, you're done. And if you get them wrong, if you get that one wrong, you go back to here. If you get that one wrong, you go back to here. You could do that at the end, sit there watching the whole thing. And if that's the way you do it in your class, your kids are going to be used to that. Hey, Mrs. Ott's going to ask questions at the end, and you're going to have to watch the whole video again if you don't answer them. So Mrs. Ott, wants you to pay attention.
Yeah.
But
so you could definitely do that.
You can send them back. Let's say they're on question 3, all right? You can send them back to before question 2 was asked.
Yeah, you can have it go
And
anywhere
literally
you want.
question 2 pop up again.
Instead of taking them back 2 seconds before the answer.
Right. Yeah, I usually get minutes
Gotcha.
because, I mean, yes, like I just watched one of Dan's the other day, and the answer was right before the question. If you were paying attention, you'd only really have to go back 10 seconds to get the answer. But
You're not a seventh grader.
yeah,
Right. Exactly.
Hi, Howard. If you're in the building, please come to the high school office.
okay. Process that I use when I'm doing it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you do this and everybody's sitting at their desk, well, you do it all the time. Well, not all the time. You do it sometimes. When you're watching the videos, will they all play? Because I had the problem when I did website, and at one time I had video that they were all watching at their seats. They couldn't all watch it at the same time. Like there wasn't enough.
Was it YouTube?
I don't remember what it was, but I just remember I never did it again because only like 5 of them would work.
I don't know. I don't have as
Well,
big a class as you guys.
I will
do.
say this from my class, because I've been experimenting with some of this stuff because I did have, H5P before.
Right. It did.
Oh yeah. So the last one you're looking at, I went full tilt. There were 4 different videos, 4 different assignments, and one led into the other. So you couldn't get into one before the other. So it basically, at one time, 20 kids would have been on in my
And they were all working. They all work.
Yeah, and they were all over the place on at the very beginning, all 20 of them were on the same one. And then of course those who went through it slower were still on the first one when other ones went to the second. So I was seeing as like, okay, will this lead into the next one and still be able to keep rolling?
So it must have been. I was like on a PBS website.
That-
Very well.
Okay, unfortunately, that
Videos
a YouTube one runs a little bit better. The bandwidth coming out of PBS ones that I've had or other websites.
I really liked the website, but the kids were like struggling because they couldn't all be on the same.
So this is an aside, and I didn't try this. Can you use a Google Drive video in it?
You could drop any video in it, but
So my
Well,
question
okay.
is, if I've
I
got that
have
video,
not tried that one. I have actually put in one from my T drive. I threw one in just to see it because I was trying to figure out where it was to stop the play, to stop the speed adjustment.
gotcha.
And I have 2 things that I'm working on right now, and one of them's kind of lame.
Well, and I might be able to fix that
So you're
too.
saying if it's from YouTube, it's okay?
Yes, definitely.
Well-
You did. My thought is, if you can use Google Drive, and I've got a whole video on how to harvest other people's videos from other website. If you go and watch it on your own and record it off of PBS, because PBS is a problem, I'm not saying it is, then you can take that video and drop it on Google Drive and use it, and now you've got the Google servers running the video.
I'm gonna need the video on how to record someone else's video.
Yes, and I mean, because I do that all the time. If there's something that it's really important to me, and I don't want it to go away, because I can't tell you how many videos have gone away since I've started teaching. That you're like, that's the perfect one, and you go to play it, and it's like, it's gone, and you're like, ah. So if it's that important to me, I try to make it my own and put it in my Google Drive. I'll still leave the link to where it actually is on YouTube, but I know that I've got it backed up. So this may not be Dan's way of doing it, but this is my way of doing it. I do it in 2. I'm going to go through it on this one. And by the way, I made a whole set of videos on. I was here till 8:30 last night, making videos on this stuff so that you would be able to find it, and it's not hidden, and you can get to it. But I'm going to go through it. So my setup is add the video and the activity and save it, and then add the question. So I do it in 2 steps. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I add the Moodle activity, I insert the video, I say how the video is going to play and set up the gradebook, and then I save so that I've got the initial setup, and then I go and decide where I'm going to put those interactions in. So
That's what I do.
is it how you? I didn't know one way or another.
No, because I'm afraid of losing the video.
I'm getting exactly it.
This I was like, this is
So I'm gonna do it in our practice area and kind of show you my steps of doing it. So I add an activity. It is an activity, and it's the one down here that says H5P. I guess it does have a 5 on there. Now, the first thing you're going to notice on here is the assignment is not up top like it is on everything else in Moodle. It's down here later. So nothing here is required in the description or to have a little star there. So I just scroll down. So I'm going to add, and there's a bunch of different H5P things. The first one up top is video. So I just click on video, and it's adding that activity. I'm going to go ahead and close this. This is where the title is right here. And the reason it's in later is because it depends on the kind of activity that you just chose. But I've only ever used this one, the video one. I've never used any of the other activities. And there's a whole list of them, by the way, that you can do. So I'm going to say, sound video. And I don't have one prepared, which I should have already, but I'm going to go and grab a video on, I'm just going to say, what is sound? And we'll see if we can find an entertaining video on what is sound. There we go. I'm going to use this video from 7 years ago. Hopefully it's not too long. Okay, it's 9 minutes. So I'm going to take that address, and right here where it says add video, the first thing I do is hit the plus, and it lets me either upload or drop a YouTube video. And that's where and it says YouTube link or other video URL, and I have not tried a Google Drive one yet.
Does the Google Drive have a URL?
Yes, you can copy the URL.
Okay.
The share.
Okay. Yeah. Under the share, there is the.
I'm gonna have to try that because it's a good point that you don't want to use a website that's not. I mean, just like we used to use when TeacherTube first came out. Who here was old enough to use TeacherTube? Anybody here? Okay, TeacherTube was before YouTube, or came out about the same time, and it was awesome for a week, and then it sucked because they didn't have the money to make Google servers, and it was really nice for a really short period of time, and then it's probably like what you guys are doing.
A lot of my short videos come from, it's not PBS, but it's called Study Jams, and they've got quite a few that really fit my 5th grade stuff. Really, they're about 5 minutes-ish.
I will make a video on how to copy somebody else's video and put it in our thing. So I just hit insert, and this is where I'm saying I'm going to do the first things first on saving it. The next thing is the interaction right here. How are we going? This isn't the one I'm thinking of, is it, Dan? Oh, behavior settings. This is the one I want. So how do I want it to behave? Now, first of all, it says start at. If you want to start at the beginning of the video, you don't have to do anything. But I had a 1-hour video that I just made with my kids, and it started 11 minutes and 44 seconds in and went to 18 minutes. I wanted that section. So you can take a big video and just give them part of it, and it'll go to that point. So if I wanted to start at 2 minutes and 15 seconds in, I just put 2:15, and now when they click on it, it starts right there. Do you want it to autoplay or not? I originally used to click autoplay, and I don't now. Because if they're not ready and they don't have their headphones in and they click on, all of a sudden they miss something. So I don't do that. I don't loop the video. I don't do any of these things down here. I do like to show the button to rewind 10 seconds. And then this is disable navigation. If you don't do anything, they can go right to the end. This is what you want to disable, and it defaults to none, the opposite of what I think it should default to. So you can either disable nothing, you can disable the forward button, or you can disable forward and backwards. Now, I disable forward, but if you just want them to watch the dang video and not be able to screw with it going back and forth, you can say both. There is no slider for them to watch it all. So I just disable them being able to skip through.
Is that bookmarks menu? Is that like show different parts of the video?
Okay, so you can you can bookmark parts of the video, and if this was not deactivated, they would be able to click on the bookmark and skip right to there.
Oh.
So you can add little bookmarks in there of what's playing where. I don't know what the point of this is if I'm saying you can't move around. Is there a point? I mean, it would make sense to show the bookmarks if they're going to go choose something else to go to. So I do not start with that open. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how much is it worth. Maybe I'm going to put it in the visual design, and I'm going to say what the grade's worth, and then I save and display because I have it all set up. That's the initial start. That's what I'm saying. I do that first. I add the activity, I insert the video, I set up the behavior, do the gradebook and save, and then I'm back here, and now I can decide how the special things that I want to add in there. So to do that, I go back to settings. Oh, here, let me go to my next slide. So then I'm going to add my interactions and add a reminder at the end to submit. So, so I go to settings, and I'm going to scroll down here to my video. And now we've just done the upload embed, and now we're going to go to the interactions right here. All of these are different things that I could add at any point in this video during the play. So I'm going to close this. If you hover over them, it basically tells you what it is. And I realize it's really hard to see with, actually, I could probably zoom it in. See, there we go. It's a little better. So these are just things that they can see. Like if you wanted to say, look at this, this is the book, and put a text or a label showing for a certain amount of time, it won't stop for that. And keep playing. Same thing, you can add a table, you can add a link to another website. If you're interested on this, click here kind of thing. By the way, I've never done any of those. You can add an image on top of the video if you wanted them to see something else, like maybe it's a science-related thing and they're talking about something and you want them to see a picture of Mount Vesuvius because we're talking about volcanoes or something. You can do that. And then we get to the, these are statements, and then we've got a single choice question. I don't know what the difference between single choice and multiple choice. What is single choice?
Multiple, you can actually.
Well, I know multiple choice. I can add more.
No, you can actually make many of them actually answers. So you can actually. This is here's your 5 choices. All right, which of these 5 things is the correct and
Click all that apply.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which they do on my state test all the time. Click all that apply.
Okay, whereas single choice is a multiple choice, so you can only choose one of.
Right.
Okay.
But when if you click on either one of them, when you go to set them up, they basically look the same. The multiple choice one.
Well, I'm going to do one. We'll do multiple choice. And by the way, this is how I do it. I sit here one time and I listen to it and decide where it makes sense that I'm going to add a question. I don't know ahead of time. So if I'm watching this video,
the measurements are taken at a single point in space. Is it?
And then I just click my multiple choice button, and then it comes up and says, here's how long it's going to display. Now I'm going to make it stop. You can make it keep displaying with the question on there, by the way. So this time is way too much for me. So I'm immediately going to go and just say it's only going to be there for 2 seconds because it's going to stop anyway. Because I'm going to say pause the video. Because here's the thing. Right here, it's a button. A button means it's got a question here, and the button just stays there for that 10 seconds. And if they don't click on the button, it just goes right on by the question. I want it to be not a button, but a poster, meaning it's going to go and be in your face like Heidi's was. Here's a question, answer the question. The video is paused while I'm doing the question, and they have to answer it to move forward. And that's what the pause is for. So here, I don't know if honestly, I don't know if I put a longer time, would it just sit there while the video starts again?
It will stop it at 3:40. All right.
Right.
And then once you answer it, the question, it starts out at 3:41, 3:42. So after you've answered the question,
it'll still
stay there.
Okay. So you don't want this. Actually, probably 1 second is probably long.
I've changed mine to 1 second because the darn thing's ballooned up, and when you actually want to send somebody back, which is later, you want those nice and tight, so you have bigger windows of setback.
Now this is not super Moodle-ish. In normal Moodle, we have lots of options on what it looks like there's not. It's a very, very, I can change a little bit, bold, italic, subscript, superscript. I can align it, and then all I have is these font choices, and that's it. So you don't have a whole lot of variation on how they show up. So I have no idea what to put in here because I don't teach sound. So Then you have, when you put the question, it's going to be what is the answer. And by the way, it's gonna shuffle. So I always make the first one. I'm just going to say a wave because I don't know what the literal definition of sound is. So and then you can put. It only has one other option, but I can keep hitting add option, and keep giving more and more and more options. So
and if two of them are correct, then you check the correct box.
apparently so. Yeah, I guess that's the difference between. And I don't know why they wouldn't just have one option because you can only check one if you only wanted. Why do they make the single versus? I don't know.
Because on the one option one, the very first one is for correct.
Oh, gotcha. We're on the other one.
Yeah.
So, by the way, this tips and feedback. This is the kind of thing that you can add. By the way, I've never used this, but you can add a hint so that they get an idea of what the correct answer is if you're trying to modify it for more of a learning activity, I guess. And then you can give them a message. Great job if it's correct, and if it's not selected, you can give them feedback for that. That's what these tips and feedback section is for. And then I come down here for behavior settings. Can they retry if they got it wrong? Can they hit the show solution button? I don't allow either one of those. I do leave it randomized. I also require, I already unchecked show solution, so it doesn't really matter on that one. And then if you say automatically check answers, that means they just submit. It tells them whether they're right or wrong. If you don't say that, then they submit, and then they have to say check. It just requires an extra when they're done. And here's the last thing: the adaptability is where what can you do to them if they got it right or wrong. And this is where action, if wrong, you could say, hey, go back to 0:00. You're starting all over again if they get it wrong. But if they get it right, you can have it do something else too. You can say, oh, they understood that, and then you skip the next 2 minutes if you wanted to. Or just have a message pop up that says, great job understanding what's happening. I will be honest, this is the only one I put in the score, and then I put in the action if wrong. I feel like they need to go back and listen to what they missed. Because I'm already saying they have to get 100% to move on. And I don't want them just sitting there guessing. I want them to, if they go back, hopefully they're listening to the next time it comes forward. And then you have to say this, require a full score before proceeding if you want to make sure they've got it right. You don't have to do that. They can answer the question and move on. But to me, this activity is done to replace something I would be teaching. I would also want them to understand it before I move on, but we can't always do that. But that's the beauty of this, right? So does that mean every student's going to get 100? It absolutely does mean they're going to get 100 or a 0 if they never finish it. So, although if they just walk away and have answered 2/3 of the question, will it give them a 66? I don't think it will until they finish and submit. Okay.
You have to get to the star.
So once I'm done, I hit the done button, and now it's added that dot right there. And this is what Dan's talking about. The star right here is where you submit. And if I only want them to watch this far into the video, I can go there and I can see where it says click to add a star. I can do that and add a submit star there. So now when they get to here, they can submit right there. And that's there's no way to cut the video in really. It's just right there. If that's all the farther I want them to go, that's where I will go and put a, where's my,
What do you put in?
text right there.
Oh, your password?
Was it? And I'm going to say, are so what? And I didn't show you this. By the way, after I add it, I can resize it. I can change the font size. should have done that back here on this one too. They couldn't read that, right? So when I put the question in, I really need to stretch it out. I shouldn't say. Is it because I did the doesn't have the submit button?
You want
Because I did this.
you made it automatic.
Oh, so when I say automatically check errors, they don't get a chance to even say, "Oh, I didn't realize that." I guess I did. That's not the way I set up the other one. Yeah, because that's what I want. I want them to click that that's their answer, so they don't go, just click on it and then
Click status bar, get grading it, and then it'll pop up. And if you say go back, it'll throw whatever message you said. Like mine, I click retry and click, and it'll jump it.
So if I want to do it now,
High pressure.
I made it start there. By the way, they can back up, and if they try to drag forward, it'll only go to where I said to start the video. So, and if I had disabled the back and forward, they wouldn't be able to do that either. I don't have a problem with it backing up in my mind.
The air particles rush back in to fill this void, thereby
I should have made this closer to the thing, so
when the
wait, it's
particles
long.
back in to fill this void, they rush in too much, thereby creating
How far is this? I want to show you what it's like,
This
but
cycle repeats itself, and each
All
time
right.
it
Well,
does, it
it'll
generates
still,
a high
if you did it
pressure
in your previous
and
screen,
low
you can
pressure
still do
wave,
this.
which
You
can
don't
be
have to
grabbed.
look at it.
in what?
Close this. Go
This
back into
graph
the edit
shows
button.
the pressure waves, or
Well, but you don't get to see the.
Yeah, you did. Fine. All right, hold on. Go back to the video one. No, step one. All right. No, I'm sorry. Go to step two. All right. Play.
Well, I know I can do
And
this.
click on one. And click on your dot.
Okay, what?
Click on your question.
Yeah, I don't get to interact.
Oh, you want to see?
I wanted to. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I wanted to show how this popped up, and then the star would pop up, and you can finish it right there on the star, and then the student can finish at that point if you do it early. I don't know that many people cut them in early. I mean, all the ones I looked at of yours and Heidi's, they're finding a video that's appropriate that's 5 minutes long, and they're watching the whole thing. I do agree with you that stop. I mean, I understand she's testing tons of information on that, but also would have
Like the second it happened, I'm like,
having
I have no idea what.
having
like,
that
every
many stops.
word went away.
And here's the other thing is that you could say on this one, on this question. Why is it not popping?
Because you're not on the question.
Oh, that's right. There's the question. So on this question, if that was really bothersome, you could have the question go a little bit after, and then even say on. That's not the one I wanted. I wanted adaptability. Even on correct, you could have it back up 10 seconds because it won't ask the question again, right? They've already answered the question. So you can have it back up 10 seconds so now they watch it through that point, not being quite so, jerky. Because 10 seconds just lets you see what it just got interrupted.
Did that count, like where you told it what the right answer was?
Yeah, right. When I put the question, I typed the question, and then it says answers. I typed wave, and I checked correct.
Here, what time?
Correct.
What time did your video start?
What time did I say to make it start? 2 minutes and something.
Your
Oh, you want me to go? Where's the tab? Oh, I got to get out of this question. Saying right here where I put to start it. Oh, it's the wrong one. It's in the behavior.
All right, 2:15 there. Okay, now go back to your question.
What you're saying?
Yeah, change what questions time. 2:20.
Yourself 5 to 10 seconds and little less chumpy.
She's got a lot of questions, and she's like, it says one thing, and she's asking a question, and by having to continue on, you never really watch that part of the video. It got interrupted, and that's why I would back up 10 seconds
Yeah, like
and have it
my
play
whole
through that. Have it play through that again, but that's
honestly.
my heels went
You don't even get the visuals.
Right.
You can stop that.
If you literally give like minutes between questions, because there's certain times it takes a while for someone to develop a complete thought. You know.
Here we go. Now,
I made the mistake. I had,
processing.
I had Moodles once in there. And I'm like, okay, that sucks. Don't do that again.
you're just saying back this up a little bit,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna put the back up so you see what that's like.
Watch it once. I insert my video like you showed.
Here's what.
And then the next assignment is contingent on did you watch it once?
Yeah, and
I
you could
do it the
you
second
could literally. I know, but I want to show something. If you wanted to do something like that, then you set it up like we just did, and then you duplicate this one right underneath it, and then put your stuff in this one. So they watch it, and this one opens when that one's done. So they watch it, and then they get
That's
the
what
next one, and the next one they're going to answer questions while they're watching it.
Yeah.
If you wanted to
Especially,
do that.
again, the ones I'm thinking of are like 5 to 6 minutes. I'm not talking 20 and 30 minutes. That would be silly.
Right.
Well, that's the thing too. Like if you create questions on here, you can actually create questions. You can actually move the questions around and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So duplication is really nice because once you like this and then create it, move around, because the certain characteristics that you tell what to do as far as its behavior. And you're like, I don't want to keep going back and making the same damn thing. You got to click it up, and make all this. You just duplicate it, and then go back and change what the question is. Go back and change what the question is.
Oh, got it. So you duplicate your settings and then go ahead and change.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you
I'm not going to go through all the different ones of these. They're like the true false is really just like the other one. I'm going to go poster, and I'm going to type the question, and then I'm going to say whether the right answer is true or false. I mean, they're relatively self-explanatory on how to add the questions and stuff. The only one I'm going to show you that I think is really cool, because all these are really like quiz questions, is the crossroads. The crossroads one is not a question. Well, it's a question, but it's not a right-wrong question. It's to take you to different parts of the video. That's all that it's for. Like if you were watching one on sea creatures and you say, would you like to hear about the sea anemone or the, and then when they pick the one, it would go right to that point on the video. So if you had a really long video on a bunch of different things that the students could learn about, it gives them choice on what part of that video they want to learn on. I thought the crossroads thing was kind of cool. Other than that, that's it on setting these up. They're really, really easy to set up. Not that they don't take time, because I think that the questions, that's why putting that many questions in is almost crazy, because putting the questions in is what takes the most amount of time. The fact of the point of it is to have them watch a video that they have to watch all the way through. Yeah, I want to add some questions, because if I don't, they can just hit play and go to McDonald's and come back and hit the submit button when they're done. I mean, they don't have to. It's not interactive if you don't have any questions.
It's like our school training videos.
Well,
Yeah.
Since it's a YouTube video, if you want to, you can tell AI to look at the transcript of it and give you 5 questions with a timestamp on it. So you can get AI to write you like 5 questions for like a 10-minute video, and just pick ones out from different areas inside of it, just so you know that they're staying along with what's actually in it. But and then that's just if you're doing like informative, no grade. It's just I want 5 questions so that I know that they're actually paying attention to what's going on.
Well, this may sound lazy of me, but the study jams has 7 questions at the end, and if I just take their questions and still put them in, it's still questions that I.
Yeah, still put it.
I like this for, like you said, if I'm not here to actually lead. To me,
Well, that's what I've been
I
doing.
know I'm going to be absent.
What I've been doing on my class is if I think I'm not going to be there, it's because I'm zoomed in. I was like, why is that so weird? I'm adding H5Ps to replace what they normally do.
if I'm not there, because I have found that I have a very low success rate with subs actually paying attention to my 8 kids in the class, and they can't make sure they're on the desk. That's very. I mean, if they can't watch 8, how are they going to watch 20? You know, in other classes. So
which is why in 5th grade I tell them they're not allowed to use the laptops when I'm absent, because they're not watching 20 5th graders ruin the keys.
So I started doing H5Ps, and I've just got them underneath the other activities, so that if I'm not here for that one, this is the video of my class, and then the kids would still now they've got to listen to the video that I wasn't here for, and it's got it's got basically 2 questions. That's it inside the video, and then it ends right there. So I took a 43-minute video, and I only need them to watch section 1, right, for this one. No, that's a different one. I went on a flannel shirt sale last weekend or 2 weeks ago, and I got 4 new flannel shirts. Really am in a flannel shirt mood this winter. So, yes, no, not the same one, but I now have 6 flannel shirts. So they're anyway.
I'm inspired.
So that's.
You had on one yesterday or the day before, and I was like, "You had on one that you might have."
Yeah, I almost actually wore one again today. I was like,
I put videos in there on all of this, so that at the bottom of that section, if you go in there, I made sure, because I could spend all 2 hours on all this. Well, this is just one video, but it's time stamped with all the different stuff we just went over. So, especially, I don't know if, I know Bethta has never used one. I don't know if Janet's used one or Shannon's used one.
I tried to make one over the summer. I have no idea how to do it.
Now that I played them, they're actually really easy. There's just so many rabbit holes you could go down because there's so many options that I'm like, oh my gosh, there's too many choices.
That link that you can put in, you can actually hide one of your quizzes that's in your Moodle from the Moodle page, and actually have the link coming out of your video that takes you.
Oh, so they have to click on there, and I can make the quiz hidden.
Yeah.
So that, because one of the things Moodle will let you hide but make available, so you could have a quiz. Never thought about that. When you do that, you can hide a quiz that no one can ever see unless they have a link to the quiz, and it's still technically open. And then you could, what he's saying is, right here in my video, I could have the little pop-up button, click here to enter the quiz, and they have to click there to get to the quiz, because otherwise there's no way to guess what they could tell their neighbor it's quiz 100725, and they can try to type that.
You can type it in the address bar.
You can type it in the address bar.
One of those kids. But
that would be, Does anybody have questions on H5P? The intent here was to really go through this one is the fact that it is so interactive, and I really enjoyed watching. Dan had one that I watched yesterday that it was a really good animated one that I learned a whole lot about Carthage and Rome that I did not know. It was
not easy finding one.
It was very entertaining, and I watched one of Heidi's too. The video, the only thing Heidi had so many questions, and I would agree with you that I almost think you should do, like you said, watch through the video once, and then, and you can't put 2 videos when it says plus videos in one H5P. You ever tried to do that?
I tried that.
Can you loop the?
I'm going to try and see.
Well,
yeah. Questions in the second.
Right.
So if I go to settings,
you can loop in the video. There's go down. It's in the.
Well, I want to see. You
settings.
can't. There's no ad, and there's no second ad button.
Yeah, in behavioral settings.
Yeah, I know that here
there's a loop part there.
we can check if the video should run in a loop. That's like forever, isn't it?
Yeah. So
The
that's
kids twitchy when they walk out of your room.
Now,
Would
if
like
it's
give you both questions appear every time that part comes up, though?
Not if they've already answered it, though, right? If they've answered the question, it wouldn't show again, would it?
yeah.
even if they've already answered it and got it right.
With though, if I just have to, I want you to watch it once, just sit and watch it.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna stop. To me, that's the strategy I also use with. I don't have an aide or a
I
student.
was just thinking that, we don't get those.
Yeah.
No.
So when I have 5 to 6 kids who are reading at first and second grade level, even the questions I read out loud, and I read them twice. I read the question and the options, and then the second time through, then you're going to be, we vote in front of, just raise your hand. I know we could do all the little, I'm like, just raise your hand. So that was all formative in my brain, but they need to hear those questions and the options before they're ready to click. And then I can get my test taking skills in too. Does this one even make sense? Let's cross it out. Or do we know this one's wrong? Let's cross it.
Yeah.
But
you could also, even in the videos, you could do your video with all your questions, and you could make a copy of it, make the first one for everyone, or that's not on an IEP, and the second one you could make an IEP one, and you could take out the questions.
there you go.
And just say the IEP kids or take out a bunch of the questions.
Yeah.
Right. So you can
Or
have
my resource room kiddos take it out, but I
right.
have an IEP.
And you can also reduce the options too. You can leave questions in.
Yeah, because if you duplicate it, unlike the Moodle question bank, whereas if you edit the question, you edit it everywhere that question is in Moodle. If you duplicate your video and you edit the question down here, it has no effect on the other video. So you could delete some of the options without affecting the other video, so that those IEP kids just see 2. There's not 5 in the multiple choice. There's just 2. Which one
that
is
means
right?
you create 2 though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'd make it, and then I duplicate it,
Yeah.
and then I just go. You'd have to go into those questions and just delete some of the options. Yeah, I think it's right. Yeah, that's what it is.
Or like on that.
That's watching the bird do.
That's fine. I do study jams. It's got 7 questions, and there's always one question that I'm like, this is them. So maybe I'll leave that in, but I just completely take that one out for my modified version.
And yeah, that would be easy. So I just wanted you to see that I put that stuff there. This is my last screenshot. There's way more than that now. I just wanted you to know that I stayed later last night just because I felt like last time I didn't have it done, and I was kind of embarrassed that even when I did have it done, I didn't have it done. And Janice's like, "Where is that? I can't find it anywhere." I'm like, and then I sat down with Beth to show her it's right there, Beth. And I remoted her thing, and I'm like, "Yeah."
Apparently, you did, and I said, "I'm looking everywhere. I cannot find
Yeah.
the video."
So I didn't let that
Willing
thing
to
happen
watch
this
it.
time.
I promise I'm willing to watch
Yeah.
a video
Yeah.
5 times.
If it's not hidden.
So I got to
But
go find
you
it.
were in maintenance.
So the first activity first assignment for this class is to select the videos 2 to 3 minutes in length, add at least 2 interactive questions, and if you want to do yours where you have it once, and Alexa, stop. I gotta hold on 1 second. I gotta make sure Wes got esports. Like I said, the videos show everything. It's all in there. That's set it up.
And unless this has changed, if you have a 10-minute video and the kids made it through 7 minutes of the video, the kid something walks away. Congratulations, you're starting.
It doesn't. I changed it so it saves where you're at. So when they come back, they'll come back to the 7-minute point if they
Thank
close
you
the
for
file.
the email.
That's a change I just made in it. It was just the setting on to remember where the student was at. I haven't tested it, but Heidi was sitting with me when I did that, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" Because if she's trying to do it in class and the bell rings and everybody leaves, she doesn't want them to start all the way over on an activity.
This is the first time I've worn them since I've had them for
Okay. Next section is talking about using Moodle, in particular Moodle.
It needs to look nicer. I'll stop some of them.
Using the Moodle quizzes for
the Moodle quiz activity just for tests, but to use it to help drive instruction. We used to have student response systems here. We have tried stuff like Socrative. There's a bunch of different ones on here. I know Beth uses Kahoot, Quizlet, tons of different ways that you can get formative data. The Moodle quiz activity is just one other way to do that and to see data. I use it all the time. I took what was my smart lesson folders, and I took it, this is for one of my chapters, and I went through and decided where I needed to stop instructing. And every place you see a red square, my students are taking a quiz in my class. So I'm only teaching this far, and then I'm stopping and doing a quiz. And I review the quiz data to see if they understood what I just went over before I press on to the next one. And that's a lot of quizzes. And that's one of the things that when we started talking about data-driven instruction and I tried Socrative and we tried the student response systems here at Trail. We have like 6 or 7 of them back before we had one-to-one devices. And so this is one of the ways that I use the quiz. Doesn't mean it's the right way for you. If you're a Kahoot person and you want to stop and do Kahoots or Quizlets or whatever, it's just one way that we can use Moodle to gather data along the way when we're teaching a class. I used in this section, I in fact redid the entire chapter 4 this year because I had AI. I showed you previously my Moodle book. I saved the Moodle book as a PDF and I uploaded it into ChatGPT and I said, update this for current computer parts and find any misspellings, any mistakes. And honestly, I found a ginormous mistake on something I've been teaching that had changed in computers in 2012. And I've been teaching it wrong for over 10 years. And the thing is, my book is from 2003, and everything that's changed is things that I know changed. Wasn't huge, but it was something that I had been teaching wrong. And I ended up using AI and saying, hey, give me 5 to 10 questions over section 1. Now give me 5 to 10 over section 2. I didn't use them all, but it was an easy way to get updated questions that were more directed at this along the way. So this is what my chapter 4 looks like. All these are restricted. So you can't see, when we get to 4.1, none of these are visible until 4.1 has been completed. And then you can only see 4.2. The other thing is, all of these are now password protected so that you have to do the reading. If they click on this, I teach the class, and I say, the red thing says, reach 4.1 and take the quiz. Well, they have to read 4.1 to find the password to enter the quiz to take the quiz. And then when they're all done, and by the way, these are all timed at 10 minutes, because I've got at least one student in every class who would try to use the entire class for a 5-question quiz. If he thought he could burn the time. So this used to be all one smart notebook. And the bell is what stopped me.
Yes.
I would teach until the bell. They always say, teach from bell to bell. Well, by the time we got here, I think I melted their brain, right? Because I didn't stop. And that's why I went through and did this and found all the logical places that I've taught something stop. Do a 3 to 5 question quiz on that thing. And I think I made a link. Maybe I made a link. No, I didn't make a link. And this is an example of it. They're not big. There's 5 questions that only worth 5 points. They're not worth a whole bunch of points. And then when I'm done, before I move on, I use the statistics to look at how my class did. And if I see one that's the highest, obviously I don't care. Oh, good. Really, the 90% ones, I'm pretty good with 90% too. There's only one that no one's seen. No, I shouldn't say no one. A quarter more than a quarter of my students did not understand that question. So I need to reteach that before I just march on.
Why is that blue red?
Okay, that is an interesting question. Why is it red? It's red because it says you've got discriminant efficiency is below 15%. I had to look this up. I had no idea. It means it thinks it's a bad question. Even though it's 90% of them got it right, 90% got that right, 90% got that right, but this one it thinks is a good question, and this one it does not. It thinks that it's too easy or it's not testing what I want. Doesn't mean it's right. But Moodle goes and tries to say,
That's correct.
I think you should think about this question again. That's what that. I had to look it up because I'm like, it's not even my lowest one. But that's what it might mean that it's poorly worded or confusing, that it's not testing when I think it's testing, or that it's just a poor question. So yeah, that's what that means.
Moodle get an argument with your AI that made the question.
But it may not know what ATX is.
That is absolutely true. So I mean, it doesn't mean it's not necessarily right. Now I just added this yesterday. It really made me mad. If you remember from 2 versions of Moodle ago, you used to be able to click on any of these headers and it would reorder them. And I don't want to go through, I got a test of 50 questions. I don't want to keep scrolling through to find which ones are wrong. So you will now see a little arrow at the top under the facility index that it will now sort them automatically with the most incorrectly answered one up top. Every single time you go to quiz data from now on. You can hit the button and sort it the other way, or you can hit it again, it will unsort it. And it'll look, if you hit it unsorted, it'll look back the way this is the unsorted one. And it really bothered me because I only really want to know what didn't we understand. I don't really care about these, right? So Moodle now does that automatically when you go to stats. Does anyone not know how to go to the stats? I didn't do it anyway. Okay, so I unfortunately closed page, but we'll just jump right there.
I like showing when they did well though. Like I go through the stats book, like we celebrate like when they're over 90.
Well, you can do it the other way too. You just hit.
So smart. Look at how many.
You just hit the button. So when I am, why didn't I open it up? So if I go to results, over here where it says grades, I can go to statistics, and it will, like I said, it should automatically, if I go down far enough, order it. Obviously, we had some misunderstanding on these. I mean, yeah, I could do that, and it's the other way. So look at all these points. You got 100 on. Yeah. Oh, and then we fell down here. And so it was a long test. So yes, and if you hit it one more time, it gives the up and down arrow, and it's back to the way it was. But I go over the test immediately after the test. As soon as the class is over, if there's dead time at the end of a test, this is what I'm doing, is going over what we didn't understand. And if I see something like this, I'm probably going to have it maybe even go over it again next class before we move on as well.
All right. Your page or whatever for your question, it says, is it chapter 3, section 8?
That is chapter 3, indicator number 8. And it's so I can look and see, is there an indicator that we had problems with? Because questions don't really tell me as much as one indicator. So I didn't add the indicator at the start of that one.
What's the F? F static.
That means I only put it on the last test. They've never seen that question before. I know it stood for final when I used it in the final exam, but
I was thinking.
so if it has an F, it means it's the first time they've seen it is on the test. On the fight, it stands for fight. That's what it is. Whereas, like, if this one, they saw this question when I went over 3-1, and yet they still.
So you were hoping it'd be more than 75.
Yeah.
Okay, so the F1s are just new questions.
They're new questions that they have not seen during, because I'm giving all those questions when I'm stopping at the interim ones. I can't give them the exact same questions because some people will memorize the answers and have no idea what the question asks if I ask the exact same question. So, especially this calculation one, I guarantee if I ask the exact same one, I have a couple kids that would get 100 without knowing how to calculate.
And some memorize on purpose, and some just remember too. Yeah, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. So
But
yes, that's why I put that in, so I know if there's an indicator that is in 3.8 is always the one that's the worst one.
Is that an actually calculated question?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this one is or not. So they have to go through and go to this computer, and they have to use this wattage worksheet to find out what the recommended wattage is based on these wattage requirements and the specifications that we see. Figure out what our supply. You're not supposed to. You're not in my class. Anyway, so that's how I use statistics. I use them while I'm in the. I mean, this is the testing, but when it comes to the quizzes that I'm doing along the way, after I do this one, I'll go to the statistics in class. And by the way, since I can take it more, I always go here and go first attempt in my class to make sure they didn't try to get the grade up before I even see, because I want to know what the problem is right now. And you can see on the first attempt, we did okay. I mean, almost 90% of the kids got all the things right on their first attempt. So this is a good example of I would feel comfortable moving on without having to re-instruct something. If, however, this was a 50%, I would 100% not feel comfortable that half my class didn't understand something that I just finished teaching.
And your quizzes have the same questions every each time.
What do you mean?
Well, like you have only like you said, 5 questions or 5 points or something like that. But
Well, that's just 4.1, and then 4.2 has totally different questions over that section. So each one of the quizzes, like this is 3.6, 3.7 won't have any of the questions from 3.6. This is over completely different material.
well, I mean, like if they come back to take.
Yeah, if they do
3.6.
retake it, they can retake it the same question as many times they want to because it's formative, and I really only cared at that very first time they took it to see what they understood before I move on. But they want a good grade, they can take it as many times as they want to. Can they memorize them? Sure, but the whole point of this was for me.
Available.
Yeah, the whole point of this was for me and my instruction, not for them in a grade, right?
No, I just had a quiz recently where kids actually identified the correct answer by the longest of the answers. So then I now went back in and just started adding crap to it.
I will say that our
Long answers got long-winded all of a sudden.
Our son Luke was very good at reading the question and going, well, that definitely sounds like Mrs. Toothman would say that. So that would be the right answer.
It's hard to actually come up with the wrong answer. I'm silly.
Okay, the point of short cycle assessments is to give us immediate feedback to know whether we should move on or not, to identify who and or what just got missed. If it means that I have to take another 15, 20 minutes on section 3.6 because we did not understand, I should, right? If half the class is lost, I should not just march on and keep going. It gives us real-time feedback. I agree that it increases student engagement because I'm not just doing like I used to do, because 10 years ago, I would have gone through all that notebook until the bell rang. Then I would stop and say, do you have any questions? Do you have any, but I didn't actually know whether they had any questions. Unless it was Joe Armstrong in my class and he was just trying to hold me hostage. You're out, Joe Armstrong.
Oh, I have both of them. Yeah.
What's that?
My favorite was.
Is their mom a substitute?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My
That
favorite
in 8th
was.
grade.
So this definitely falls in data-driven instruction. So when you're doing getting an assessment for your teaching instruction, if you're doing this or something like it with Kahoot or one of the other tools, it's very easy to say, if they say, what's your data-driven instruction? And I'm like, that's all I do. Is, and I could go through the statistics and see as I go. So it's a great way to get feedback. You have to be a little bit flexible when you do this because you have to say, if I don't know it, I am willing to go back. If you're not willing to stop and go back, then this is of no value. Just to know, Dan didn't learn it. And next we're going, we have to be willing to be flexible. We have to be willing to stop and take the time to open the stats and look at it.
Your kids actually make it.
There's no stress for students if they know that A, I can take it again, and B, it's very little points. It's just so I know whether you know it. And if they know that you're going to not move on, it's just to find out whether they know it. I think students try harder to get it right the first time because they don't want to hear me. If they know, I'm going to go back to the first slide and teach the whole thing over again, they're like, kind of thing. Okay, so that's the second activity. Second activity is to create 3 short cycle assessments that you use in your class that contain at least 3 to 5 questions and produce some kind of student performance data that you're going to look at. Wherever it belongs in your class, it's just to do that, to give you a chance to try to do it that way. I'd like you to use it for real in your class and try to look at your data and see if you need to re-instruct something. Couple short quizzes to put in your class wherever it works for you. And then the submission is just to submit a link to those assignments. So if you're already doing that, you just have to give me links to where you're already doing it. I know that some of these things, many people already do, which is fantastic, right?
But I can only have 3 to 5 questions. So many.
Can I have more? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, I'm not going to.
Oh, can I have more? Okay.
Yeah.
Would a student reflection of a unit count as a short cycle assessment? Like if it was.
I don't know what you're saying.
Like I have them for some of my missions on my astronomy class.
Oh, where they do like a.
How did this go for you? It's not. Yeah. I'm sure it's set up as a feedback, but it's more.
No,
what did you like?
That is fine, but do you really get quantitative data from that, or do you qualitative data from it? Can you say that you're unequivocally on that your students know? Because like in my feedback, I want to know. That's what I use the feedback activity for.
Right.
Is I want to know what you think you know. This is I want to know what you do know. Because if they go and get zeros on it, and they say, I totally understand. Case in point, that one that was 46%, 100% of my class said they knew how to calculate PC wattages without any problem. They did not. Yeah, I mean, they didn't. So I think you should do both, obviously, because I want to know how you feel about it. But then I also want to know, is the way you feel true?
Yeah, because what you think you know versus what you end up actually knowing.
And that's why they don't have to be huge. That's why I said 3 to 5 questions. If yours is 10
0 points,
what?
Can I make them?
Yes, it
right,
doesn't have to be
0.
Right.
You make the quiz call quiz, but
yeah, it still doesn't have to be. Yeah, I don't know if it'll give you data if you don't make it worth a point.
Okay.
I've never tried.
I'll try
to make it worth 0. Although you could definitely put it into a category that doesn't count.
True.
And then doesn't. You can say it's worth 1,000,000 points, and if it's worth 0
Oh, yeah.
in the grade book.
That's the beauty of the zero thing. If you do it, just throw them in the 0 category. Calculated 0.
It just won't matter.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll see a grade, but it won't actually affect anything.
They don't see it.
Huh?
They don't see it.
They'll see it in this.
But if I put it in the hidden 0.
Well, unless you say that they
hidden
can't.
0.
Yeah, you can say that they can't
I
see
was like, no,
Notice that sound I keep hearing.
That sounds like stone brown.
all right. It's a what's it? EV, the camera thing. Something's moving around.
Okay. Okay. Any questions on that assignment?
And it's probably
Okay.
Probably my wife.
So the last one we already talked about, and I honestly think everybody in this room probably already does. Differentiating quizzes to make them different for different kids is really, really easy. It's something that I you can only do if you're online.
If we do those things online, though, we can do lots of modifications for a student. So the easiest, there's multiple ways to do this, by the way. But the way I do it is I make multiple versions of the same quiz for different levels of learners. So I start with the quiz that's general ed, and then I'll make a copy of that quiz and modify the copies for specific groups of students. I can add questions for gifted students, and I can subtract questions for IEP or for 504 or IEP students. And we can use Moodle restrictions to do all that so that students never know they're getting something different than the kid that's right next to them. The link looks the same, the intent is the same, the learning mastery that they're trying to get is the same, but it's modified specifically for their group. So we already looked at this slide from last class, that we can restrict based on activities, grades, and groups. We're talking mainly about groups, but you can also do it more granular than that. If you have a student that specifically says 2 options per quiz, you could say if last name Toothman, then they get this quiz. And you can make that quiz and change the name every year for that one student that you have, if it goes that granular. So the simplest approach is what I just said. I make what I call the general education version. I make a copy, I modify that copy, and then I add the restrictions. I have changed the way I'm doing this from this to the way I'm doing it now. I don't lump 504s and IEPs together anymore. I have a gen ed and I have an IEP. Those are my 2 versions. However, anybody that has a 504 that's got extended time, I just add them to the IEP group and then they get that. Because most of my 504 students almost exclusively have not been given extended time. And yet I was giving them extended time when they didn't need it. Well, a lot of times it was behavior, and take breaks with them, and there's a whole bunch of other things. But I have had students that definitely fall in that category, and so I've stopped doing it this way. This is a old screenshot. Now I just say, this fight is not available if you are in IEP, and this one's available if you are in the IEP group. And then you can add another layer and add one for gifted as well. If you wanted to do that, in fact, Beth and I talked about that last night, adding an essay question or 2 to the gifted one. So many times my gifted students are the first ones done, and then they're sitting there staring at the wall. So adding an essay question or 2 is not going to kill them. To add it, the question on that we talked about last night, as a matter of fact, is if I add 2 essay questions, should I take away 2 multiple choice? My thought is no, because they're gifted, and unless they're showing that they're having an issue with time, I'm probably not going to take any away. On this one, I usually delete. My thing is, most of the IEPs say double time. However, I don't take away half the questions because I had never had someone take that long. I usually take away a third of the questions on my IEP one. That is almost always has worked. I still keep in mind that I didn't take away half. So if Dan's in my class and we're coming up on the end of the thing and it says he's got double time, I'm going to make a point of telling Dan, hey, Dan, you got as much time as you need. If you need to stay or come back during intermission, you can. So I'm still going to make sure they have double time, but I'm trying to make it, by the way, that's never happened. When I started taking away third, I've never had an IEP student saying, I need more time on this test. I just haven't. I have had them come up close to the end, but I'm trying to time it so it lasts the whole period anyway. So that is what I would call the simplest approach, is just to make a copy and use restrictions. The more complex approach, which I would have to do if I've got someone who specifically says I should reduce the number of options for that student, which I think everybody probably has had one person that's fallen into that category before. Then my personal thing is to use AI to do that, because I can just take it, tell AI to reduce one option for each one, and change the reading level. I'll do it at the same time. I'll say, in fact, and I've got a whole video on that in the lessons, just so you know. You can just drop it right into chat.
The whole test from Moodle you could drop into?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can say, redo this in Aiken format. The Aiken is one of the formats that you can import in, and it's the one that's easiest to read for you. It makes sense when you see an Aiken format. You're like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, it's the question, the word answer, and the number next.
Answer colon and then the letter.
Yeah, it's very straightforward when you see it. And I've got that in the videos along with prompts in the video, and I'm going to go there and show you.
It literally looks like every worksheet you've seen, like growing up. A question, 4 answers. Underneath that says the word answer in bold print, colon with the letter that corresponds to the correct answer.
But you can tell AI to rewrite these questions at the 3rd grade reading level, and to make them only have 2 options or 3 options. And it would just book, and you're done. And then you can import that back in to a new test. If you've got something that falls in that, I have never had anyone that I really worried about that particular intensive of a modification for. But that doesn't mean those students don't exist, and we know that they do. Which is why I made all the videos on how to do that. In fact, I'm going to go to the thing and just kind of show you what I'm talking about. I broke it down a lot. In here, this whole section, using AIs to create questions. I have a video on how to use Diffit to create questions for you. A video on how to use Brisk to create questions. How to make an Aiken file, and it's
okay. We're going to take the file that we made and turn it into the right kind of file format.
I have in the in the book itself, I have the text that you would want to drop right into ChatGPT. So you just copy that text into ChatGPT and then paste your test, and it automatically does all of it for you.
The right kind of file to implement the Moodle.
So
I've already got a setup here for you to copy into ChatGPT. I'm going to just toss that in there as our initial statement, and then I'm going to take that file that we saved.
And you can see it looking terrible right now.
It
doesn't matter.
It, and I really didn't need to copy it in between the two. I could just copy it right from here, drop it right into ChatGPT, and hit the button and tell it that I want it redone so that I can import it straight into Moodle. So it's going to...
Go back to that thing where you had that copy. How did you get to there?
I get to where?
Oh, that's from Diffit?
Yeah, I just had Diffit make a quiz.
Sorry.
That's a whole video.
I didn't listen to that.
And I'm looking at how much time we have, and I don't want to.
Okay, that's fine.
But this is it. Just goes and makes
that's
the file,
from Diffit.
and then So
sorry, I wasn't listening.
I'm not going to play the whole file for you, but I've got all the steps down here, down to how do you import it back into Moodle to make a Moodle thing.
Brisk will actually also do the same thing as far as making an Aiken file for you, so you can use that as well. It just seems like it understands question, choices, answer, question.
In Brisk, I even did both sets of quiz questions. I said, make 20 questions on this subject. And then I told Brisk to make it an Aiken file in the first place. And then I said, remake this with 3 options and a 3rd grade reading level. And it also did that for me in the same.
You started with the Aiken file too. So
yeah.
It was already...
Yeah. So, and I made these videos so you could watch them. And I know that Beth needs to know how to do the H5P, and maybe Shannon. that's doing one of those is going to take you a little bit of time. Most of you know how to do all the quiz stuff. I don't think many of you don't know how to do the quiz stuff.
Things like making an API file. I've never heard of that prior to
Yeah,
talking
and
to
so
I think I have to do everything myself by hand because that's the teacher I was
So,
when we were starting.
I'm gonna go through that. I'm gonna go through the process right here, and I'm gonna show you Diffit and what the process is. Or we're gonna go through, and Shannon, you're gonna tell us what the topic is that we're doing.
Okay. Let's go with geologic history. Geologic time, the timeline, geologic timeline.
Geologic.
Precambrian era.
I don't know if I spelled that.
Really?
How do you spell it?
Yeah.
GEO.
LOGIC.
I thought that's what I put.
GE.
Geologic.
You typed it as excited as I was.
Don't make fun of me. And I'm going to show you the process on both, but the video's really the same. I'm going to open up ChatGPT over here just so I have it open. Is it done? Did I zoom in too much? Or is this?
That's an armadillo. So,
Is it still thinking?
yeah,
It is.
I wonder how much it has on the geologic
Now, I'm going to say, when I did this, and I made my questions, I actually gave it the text that I wanted to use because this might be too much for it to think through.
Well, I mean, it's 4.6 billion.
you're about to get another what? 250,000 questions.
Okay, I'm going to go back here to where it says generating. These are the three tools. Basically, the only ones I talk about in this is Diffit, Brisk, and ChatGPT. There are obviously others than that one, and I've got the where's it at? Oh, there we go. Okay, the text is right here. I'm using Moodle, and I'm just going to copy that into ChatGPT to get us ready. I'm going to go back over here because it's done, and I'm going to go over to the multiple choice questions right down here. I'm going to go and I'm going to say, number one, I'm hitting the three dots and I'm saying show answers because that's important. And then I'm going to add questions. Here's the only, and it's set to 7th grade. I'm going to switch it to 9th grade. And I'm going to say on Diffit, you can only add 5 at a time. And Brisk just defaults to 20. And I'm going to add another. Oh, I'm multiple choice.
ChatGPT really didn't have a limit.
Get down to about a 3rd grade level and stuff.
You want me to?
What I would need it for is I have individuals in my class that are.
Well, I would. Here's what
Assistance.
Here's what we can. Yes. But I do it for my gen ed. And then I say now make a copy of this for 3rd grade, reducing that. So because right now it's got 4, I'm going to go ahead and hit the copy button, which is copy right there. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to just go. Oh, I didn't copy it. Somehow I did not hit the right button. There we go. Multiple choice question. Isn't that the copy? Copy contents. Yeah. So I'm gonna find out in a second. Here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I copied that and I threw all that in there. So now it's going to create the Aiken format. The Aiken format, there's no numbers in front of the questions, and that's it. Okay. So I can take this when it's done. Is it done yet? Okay, there's done. And I just copy it says copy code. I throw it into Notepad and I paste it. The only other thing is there's not supposed to be spaces in between the lines. So you have to go and kill the spaces. I'm going to pretend I just proofed all these questions because obviously I'm going to proof them. I'm not going to just believe that these are good questions here. And I'm going to save this. Save as what was this?
Geologic.
Make it geologic A. And I'm going to save it. Now in Moodle, all I do to import that is I go into my course, I go to the question bank, and here's number 1. Before I start importing stuff, I want to make sure I've got categories set up that I want to import those things into. I have a whole video on making categories. If you don't have categories set up in yours, you would need to. Okay, and you do that just by going to categories. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a category and call it geology. Geology. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to add that category, and then I'm going to go and add another category inside geology. I'm going to call it Gen Ed. Add another category inside geology, and you'll see why in a second. Because I want to keep those questions separate when I do it. Okay, so now I'm going up here to the same spot that I do questions, and I'm going to import. It automatically selects Aiken for you. It never picks the right category, so I'm going to go to Gen Ed.
Hey, wait, why did yours actually open straight up?
I just wrote that. That's that.
The emails on it, dude.
And then I'm going to choose.
I told you to fix it.
I know. And when I was doing the videos last night, I was like, "This is ridiculous. I need to make it so." So
Last night.
I just did geology. I say upload, and then I say import, and then it's got 8 new questions in my question bank. Okay.
Now that green bar.
So now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to tell it, please rewrite these at a 3rd grade reading level. Reading level. And remove one option. So, boom. Now it's going to make me a new file. It's all going to be now. There's only 3 choices, simplified questions, and I'm going to take this one and do the exact same thing when it's all done. It's all done. So I hit copy code. I'm going to open this up. And by the way, before AI, this would have taken a million years. It would have taken the entire geologic timeline. Just a couple. And again, I would obviously read these first. And I'm going to save file, save as geology B. And now I can do the exact same thing again. And it remembers now the last set that you did.
I think you're allowed to have this.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll find out. So I'm going to switch it to the IEP group, choose the file. And now I've got all these. Now, the difference between this and just making a copy and shortening it is a lot of work. Now I've got to make another quiz and put all these in it. But because I made categories, I know I can just grab this category and throw it in it, the test, and I don't have to go. And I can just as easily, if I already had a test, go and export the questions, put that export into ChatGPT and say, modify this to a 3rd grade reading level, reduce 1, save it, and upload it. But make sure you do it into a new category, and you'll see when I was making the video, I had over 1,000 questions in one category. And that is called a nightmare. And I didn't use categories when I first started Moodle. We just added questions, and all of a sudden you're going the next year and you're going, which one's where? What's it? It's just crazy. And now that I'm thinking about doing new questions for different level readers, it's even
How do you make the export from your questions?
from the questions I've got right now, I just export them. So right there where it says import, I can go export. And I can choose the category that I want to export. So I could choose all of geology if I wanted to, because maybe I don't have any IAP ones. And I can export it in Aiken format, and I can say export, and it's going to make the exact same kind of file. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my delete me folder. That I could then take that file and open it up on my other computer, but that's what it looks like. It didn't have spaces, so I assumed it wasn't supposed to. That's why I did the spaces.
I actually just one day I was like, I'm tired of removing these spaces.
But I could
leave it.
I could
what do you know? It works.
just take this and drop it right into ChatGPT and say, this is an Aiken file. I want to have it rewritten at whatever grade level. I want it to be 2 options, and it will change the whole thing. Something that AI is wonderful.
Yeah, if you mess with that file there, and let's just say that you leave an answer off for like any of those questions, it'll import all the questions. It used to import all the questions except for one's broken. I think now that it actually will stop importing the whole file altogether, and you get a red thing that says that it basically you didn't import anything. And most of the time, before Brian's super awesome paragraph that he just now shared that thing.
This is a surprise for today.
Where's this little bug?
By the way, and if you watch the video, you will see a big, huge skip where I got really upset, and you don't know why, because this used to be minimized. You never saw where it was importing, and it did not automatically choose Aiken, but that's okay. That was not a big deal. But the fact that this was automatically closed, you had no idea where it was going. And I'm like, I just imported a whole bunch of questions into I don't know what.
And pray tell, who complained about that
Yes.
a while back?
You did. And I made it remember where you imported last. And so it puts the same place, so you start at the same place you did last time. Which you also complained about, by the way. So that's how you export them, and that's how you import them. Let me show you one other one on how to make questions with Briss, because we have time. We have a few minutes. If I was on a website on, let's see if I can find a website. Okay, so I'm on this website on geologic timescale. Okay, I'm the Briss icon right here. This is Briss. If I want questions on this information, I can click right there, and I'm not signed in, I guess. What is going on? Why am I not?
There you are. There's some kind of ad.
So you hit create a quiz now, and you say next. Now, by default, it makes me angry because it wants to do a Google form, and I don't want a Google form. So you have to click here and say, I want a Google Doc. I can also, at this point, say, you know what? I want this for 9th grade students. I can say I want 20 questions. And I can also say, please make the output in Aiken format so I can import it into my Moodle course. And I hit brisket, and it creates a Google Doc. Now I'm gonna say this is probably gonna be wrong, because when I did, what's wrong? It put numbers in it, and I thought if you watch the video, you see me fighting with them, because I did fight with them like. So when it's done, it's giving me 20 questions, and it's going to let me say stuff. Rewrite. You want to just, this is not Aiken. There should be no question numbers. And it goes, well, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that, and it should rewrite them all without question.
That's actually nice because actually going Control H and actually going back and getting rid of some.
No. But here's so then I'm going to be able to copy this and go right into a text document and import it. But while I'm here, a third grade reading level. Have only 3 choices. So I would have already cut and pasted it in my document, and I can say now, without even leaving here, I can go and say, okay, I want my 3rd grade option now, and there's my 3rd grade option. And numbered it. That's okay. I can call them stupid again until it shouldn't have numbered it. But that's how Brisk works. Number 1, it gives me 20
How
questions.
did you get that to open the Brisk thing? Is that you said that click somewhere? Where did you click?
Okay, so Brisk is a Chrome add-on that you have to have added on already. So and it shows up on every single website and YouTube video. And it shows up on Google Docs. So if you have something you want to Brisk, but you don't have it as a it's not online, it's yours, just put it in a Google Doc and then Brisk it. It'll do the same thing. So it only interacts with Chrome. So as long as you can see it in Chrome, it's fine. So if you've got a scan of your textbook and you want to do this section of your textbook, you can put it into a Google Doc and do that.
You can have it actually write questions about your Google slide presentation.
So when I redid my chapter 4 and found out I had screwed up a million things in chapter 4. By the way, that was really upsetting to me. I could not use Brisk on this page, and I don't know why. But what I did was, if you have an online textbook, you can save this as a PDF, and then I just uploaded it and used it that way. So the last assignment for this class is I wanted to go over this. I just did, but it's AI is a great way to make those questions. It really is, and to update them and rewrite them, and they're grammatically correct, because I have so many grammatical errors in some of my questions. Every year it's like, Mr. Bull, did you mean to say it isn't? Blah blah blah. I'm like, no. That wasn't even any. So I just went over Diffit. You can drop anything in it. You can use a video. You can drop your own text. You can drop a PDF, where you can just put a topic like we just used. Diffit is great. The downside of Diffit is it gives me 5 questions, and I have to keep saying 5 more, 5 more, 5 more in order to get a bunch, because I want a bunch, and then I want to delete ones I don't like. So I prefer that. Going through there, after I've made the text file, I go through the text file and delete the ones I don't like. And I've already given you this prompt in the thing. All you have to, if you tell AI fully what you want, it will do what you ask. If you ask too little, it will do too little. So this prompt is, I need to import an Aiken text file into Moodle 4.5 with the following questions. Please reformat them so Aiken can make it something and copy and paste so I could just import them. If I didn't say the end of that sentence, it would be something that I couldn't just hit where it said copy code. I wouldn't have been able to do that and just drop it right in so cleanly. And then the bottom one says, I need the same quiz with only 3 options for a question. If I said 5th grade, whatever reading level you wanted to do. I wanted to show you, but I already did on the other one, what the Aiken file format looks like. And the same questions rewritten for a 5th grade reading level. The question bank is just up top under the More button. To import those in, you don't have to be in a quiz to get to the question bank. I highly recommend making categories and organizing those categories to make sense for you, so you don't end up with one with 1,000 questions like I had. And you could embed categories inside categories, so you can have this section with IEP and Gen Ed questions both. When you look at a category, it shows you everything in the subcategories too when you do that. and then I already showed you how to import them. It's really easy. You just pick where you want it, and you drop the text file in there, and it will import and tell you it got all of them. By the way, it says when it's you can change this to stop on error to a no, and then it'll just keep going. Skip that one question. If you change that to a no, it just keeps going and does whichever ones are good.
Oh yeah, because then it'll actually say let's say 20 questions of 25.
Right. It'll tell you how many. You just say no. Just go ahead. So the last one, many of you guys already do. Create at least one differentiated assessment, a standard version, and a modified version, whether it's for IEP 504 gifted students or an extended one if you've got a student that is in that, needs only 3 options or whatever. I found that by doing this with all my assessments, I don't ever send anybody out anymore because they don't need to go out if I've already differentiated for them. And then implement that in Moodle so that the big thing is when you implement it, make sure that students can only see the version they're supposed to see. I highly recommend going in as a student to make sure they see what they want. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I showed that to Beth last night. And then submit a link to your assessment that you've made. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I just meant. Like for this class, and all of you guys can do this as well. So if I want to see if it shows up the way I want it to, I can go in my class and go to the participants. And if I've got somebody that I know I want to check one IEP, one 504, and one Gen Ed student, I can pick a Gen Ed student. I'm going to pick Jacob here. When you see him, you can scroll down to where it says log in as. And when I click log in as, I am now him. So I am going to see what he can see. And the question is, can I only see the stuff I'm supposed to be, he can't see the fight yet. We're not there. But in that case, well, let me go back to chapter 3, where he should have only been able to see one option for the test. And there's the one option that he saw. Now, just so you know, you can't just skip between one student and another. You have to go up here and you have to log out. And then you have to log back in. And then you have to pick another student to try it as maybe one of your IEP students and come in as him and do the same thing. I only check tests. I don't check all the other stuff. Because if a student said I can see 2 of something, if it's not the test, I really don't care. I mean, I'm going to fix it, but it's not like, oh no, you saw 2 different versions of whatever.
Notes.
Yeah. So every teacher has the ability to do that and become someone else to make sure it looks like in there.
That's why
shows
when I look up their username and password and log in the slowly.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're 5th grade. They will not know if I logged in. So
That was more specific to individual students as opposed to changing my roles.
Right. If you change your role, if I go and say switch role to student on here, it doesn't apply a group. So if I went to chapter 4 to see what does a student see, now it is limiting me from seeing the other stuff below here because I have to
What
go.
every kid's screen would look like
Yeah,
now.
right.
Okay.
Right. But it doesn't let me know when I'm differentiating for groups or people. It won't let me see that. Just lets me see, okay, that's what students
It
can
lets
see
you
right
see, like, I don't know how it chooses, but it lets you see a test.
now. Is it?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. Maybe it only does. Okay, so it's not in a group. So it would see the one that is the Gen Ed group thing.
Okay.
Because it's not in a group.
Does it
And the other
choose?
one says you have to be IEP, and the student is not in any group when you say
I
look
would
as a
always do
student.
it. I go to the student.
So
and
you
say,
would always
"Destroy
see the one
line,
Gen Ed
that's where
one.
your test is," and usually someone says, "Well, mine says ecology test asterisk," because sometimes I do that so that I know which one it is,
Right.
and I'll be like,
That's-
"That's fine."
That's an awesome way to do it. Because otherwise, I can't keep it straight.
I know.
He puts them the same way and puts them in order, and I'm like, no.
Like,
I always know it goes Gen Ed IEP,
GPA,
but if I had to do one, I could get confused.
You'll have one of them.
I have to.
Yeah. I literally moving things around and stuff. I'm like, okay, third level people or fourth level people. No.
Okay. I want to go over one. I'm going to do one set of restrictions while I'm recording, just to kind of go through. I'm going to pick something that doesn't even matter right now. You know what? I'm going to do it. Oh, I can't because I don't have any groups in there. So I'm kind of jumping around. I'm going to do at the bottom of chapter 7 and do this. I'm just going to do the rubric activity just to make sure you guys understand how to do the restrictions. So and it doesn't matter which one I do. I'll do this one. So if I had made this, if this was a test, I would go and I would duplicate the test. And the first thing I would do would be to set my normal one up. So I go to my settings and I go down to restrictions. And I would say, I'm going to go and mess that up. I'm going to go ahead and say add restriction. I'm going to say group. And if this is the one that's the gen ed, I'm going to say must not be IEP. And and you have to poke it in the eye. If you don't poke it in the eye, they see everything. Okay. So I would poke this one in the eye and say must not be IEP. And the other one, I just do the opposite, say must be IEP. Because like I said, I don't use IEP in 504 now. I just use IEP as the group, the one that's going to be modified. And I put students in it that have time restrictions. I have.
And then, so this is for your gen ed.
Right.
Right. And then you do.
And then the other one, I would just make a copy and it would just be must.
Must and group NEP. And then if you wanted to do gifted.
If I wanted it, let's say let's say this is the gen ed one and you have 3. Okay. So it would be must not be IEP and I'd add another group and gifted. So
this
must not be, and then this would be an any. This would be must not be any of these. So you can't, must not be any means you can't be IEP and you can't be grifted.
That's the gen ed one.
That's the gen ed one.
And then if you change it.
And then in the IEP one,
okay,
you would say must. I'm gonna add another group here. Oh, I can't. So
Can do this.
Must
restriction set.
Any.
Yeah, you can say must match IEP. And then I'm going to add, this is where it gets weird. I'm going to add a restriction set, not a restriction. And then I can add, well, that's the only one. Because if this is the IEP one, it just must be IEP. Right?
Must be.
Because they're not going to be IEP and gifted. And then the gifted one.
We have one.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah. There's 504 gifted ones.
Yeah.
Well,
I have never had them.
IEP web.
No.
How would you do that? Then
what I find is, for the most part now by 5th grade, may have been different in 1st or 2nd grade when they got the paperwork. Now by 5th grade, it's more, probably could face into a 504, really just needs more time.
So I don't know how.
Fabulous, wonderful things.
Because the gifted one would just be must be gifted, right? That would be easy.
I would still
the gifted one.
I would still, in my situation this year, I would still keep him in gifted one, and then if he were to perform lower than I expected, I might let him retake it as a different version. But I want to hold him up to that web standard of
tradition or the gen ed.
Yeah, the only one that's where it would be, because if I have one that says must not be IEP and must not be gifted for the gen ed, and I have one for the IEP that says must be IEP, the problem is that crossover of students.
Because on paper, I give him the same paper test.
So I guess here's the thing: if this is the gifted one, that also is a student that's an IEP, and I don't want him to do this one. That's when I'm going to have to do a restriction and be very specific on the profile. Must match all of gifted, and then I do like whatever last name or
it's like
and say does not contain Smith. Okay, so they have to be gifted and not be that person.
You
I
want
would
them
keep
to
it
have
from
the
getting.
gift.
Yeah, if you want them to have the.
You've had ones we've been through here that are right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he was a 504 at least this last year.